Hello there, and welcome to another Torbay Elite Fantasy Football podcast with myself, Mr. Ball, and my good friend Steve-O, enjoying some water there, and Jason. How are you tonight, guys?
Good evening, all. Hello.
Hello.
Okay.
I'm good, thank you.
So, I'm sure many people are glad that Gameweek 9 is done and dusted and out of the way, and we really want to look forward to Gameweek 10. And in this podcast, we'll be talking about the top four in our mini league, the Torbay Elites, and also looking ahead to Gameweek 10, looking at our own teams, thinking about the transfers, thinking about the European action, how that's going to affect our team selections, and talking all things fantasy football. So we're going to start by looking at the top four and the movers and shakers in our league.
Yes. So straight into it. It's Mr. Jason Robinson, clear at the top by 30. He's ahead of second by 30 points. I mean, Jason, take it away, mate. Just you got 47 points minus 4. You took out Fraser and Harry Kane. You brought in Richarlison and Aguero. And ironically, even if you hadn't done those transfers, you would have made the same amount of points anyway, of 5. However, because you captained Aguero, you actually made a plus 5 on top of that, if that makes any sense. Overall, it was just Trippier, David Silva, the major differential in your team ahead of us guys in the top 4. Salah, it must have been a bit gutted not captain Salah. Mitrovic getting you assist. Jason, how are you feeling sitting atop there, mate?
Yeah, it was a good week, considering other people were unfortunate to get sub 40 points, and there's a lot of disappointment. It's paid off, really. I think we discussed last week about making transfers, taking hits. What do you think? It's advisable, and like I said, I think last week I said that I was over 100. I think 107 points better off by making changes throughout the beginning of the season and wildcarding. So it does really pay to think where you can improve your team and make those transfers when you've analysed and you've thought through where you can improve. So it's good.
Yeah, like I said, you're 30 points ahead of Ben Towler, and he had a disastrous game week. He got 31 points, and he also took a minus 4, a bit like you, really. He brought in Kevin De Bruyne and Mitrovic in for Mane and Zaha, and if he didn't do the transfers, he made the same points anyway. So they both got in 2 points basically because of the minus 4. It only totaled up to 2 points anyway. But it was the Bellerin differential. I mean, I'm sure Dan will talk about it later in our preview, but that Arsenal game, he gets an own goal. I'm thinking, yes, he got his own goal. Brilliant. And then he goes and gets 2 assists. And I'm just thinking, this is just typically my luck so far this season. Robertson also got a goal, but he captained Hazard as well. Who got him his yellow card, did nothing. Mitrovic, the player he brought in, got him an assist. So Ben is 21 points ahead of Terry Roos, another guy that had a bit of a disaster of a game week, really. Terry got 36 points. However, his 2 transfers did pay off. In total, he made a total of 5 points. So he took out Stephen Ward and Trippier and brought in, these are major improvements here of Matt Doherty and Mendy from Manchester City. Of course, Mendy got him 10 points. Doherty in that shock 2-0 loss against Watford. He made a plus 5. His team, his points only really came from the bench, really, in Ederson and Mendy. Sorry, defence. And as we discussed in our reactory podcast that me and Dan did, which again you can view on YouTube, he must have been banging his head against a brick wall when he saw that Salah goes and scores the only goal of the game. and his captain Firmino only made a cameo appearance of 13 points. 13 minutes, and only getting him 1 point. So he's 21 points behind second place, and now this is when the gap really starts to close up, and it's down to me. So I'm back up to 4. I got a rubbish score of 38 points. I took a 4-point hit. However, it did actually pay off. So I took out Lucas Moura and Andrew Wan-Bissaka, or Aaron Wan-Bissaka, sorry, I'm forgetting all my names here, as you can imagine why in a second. And I brought in Adam Brooks of Bournemouth and Andrew Robertson of Liverpool. That gave me a total of a +5. And really, it was only him, Robertson, that got me some points. And of course, as we discussed in my reactatory podcast, I got a load of points off the bench. So it was Trippier coming off, very, very lucky. And of course, Brooks coming off as well. He only got me 1 point, but a total of 7 points coming off the bench. Captain Aguero got me the standard goal as per normal. But yeah, I'm only 5 points ahead of ahead of 5th. Ahead of 6th, I'm only 6 points. The gap is really, really small between, like I said, 4th, 3rd and 6th. And then it just kind of breaks away again. It's like 3 mini-leagues. So it's between Jason and Ben for first place, really, even though it's a 30-point gap. Then you've got Terry and Ben separated by 21 points. And then there's just a 6-point gap between myself and 6th. And then it's something like a 12, 15-point gap between 6th and 7th. However, Dan, let's move on to Dan's team here. 48 points off myself, 98 points off Jason. You took a hit. Overall, you actually were -4 in total from this hit, due to the fact that if you just kept Moura and Kane, you would have just got 4 points, where in fact Marnie and Lacazette just managed to get you 2. The only point real scorers in your team were Trippier, Mitrovic, Aguero, your captain. I mean, on Monday night, mate, you must have been fuming at the fact that it was Aubameyang that got the point, got the goals, rather than Lacazette. And I heard that Lacazette did really well and missed a few opportunities. How did it feel when watching the game?
Just full of tension. I wouldn't say fuming when Aubameyang got the goal, obviously, some player, but Lacazette had a chance from about 3 yards out. Ozil laid it on for him. It was easier to score, but he hit it straight at Schmeichel. And at that point, I just thought, this game week, I'm just going to write it off, move on. It's a marathon, not as always. Yeah, reactionary podcast on Sunday. The decision in Mane was pretty stupid, really, in the fact that he is back in full training now. I don't know if he'll play tonight, but yeah, the fact that it wasn't very much a calculated one. And yeah, Lacazette, 2 points. West Ham in. Game week is my worst game week so far. A disaster. And Lee Phillips spot. I'm sort of quite far away from him now, so it's going to take something special for me to kind of pull myself back up there. But the main thing for me is my defence, like Patricio and Doherty, 2 points between the two of them. That shock loss at home to Watford really hurt my team. And ironically, from an Arsenal fan, I'm there on Saturday watching the Tottenham-West Ham match, just hoping, praying that Trippier is going to get that clean sheet points. I'm thinking, I need these points because of how my game week's gone. Richarlison, at home to Palace is a plum fixture, does nothing. Hazard, as you say, 1 point. So roll on game week 10 is all I can say, guys, because it was pretty poor this week time around.
Yeah, Jason, I noticed that despite the fact you're absolutely dominating our league, unfortunately you dropped down out of the top 1,000. How are you feeling about that? Or do you think it was just a one-off game week and you'll probably go up the league for this particular one coming up?
There's so little in terms of difference between the top one. Well, the top 100 and 1,000s. I think it's only like less than 20 points. I think I can't remember definitely. Like I will have to look that up. But it's literally a matter of like 2 or 3 points before I hit the top 500. So I'm not concerned really. And I mean, anyone in my position would be over the moon. So I'm not really.
Do you feel really comfortable sat at the top of the league now with a 30-point lead over second spot, or is it a case of not take any risks, just carry on plodding along and just see what's going on with everything?
I'm never going to count my chickens or be comfortable. I think if you start thinking that way, then you kind of slip up and you kind of lose your game a little. So no, I'm looking ahead, and I'm still treating each game week as if I was, my position would be under threat. That's part of where the enjoyment comes from, really.
I mean, we're approaching game week 10, Dan, and a lot of managers. I always remember it was Alan Kirbishley, and now my manager Sean Dyche. They actually treat game week 10 as that. They look at the league table. They think, you know what, this is kind of like where we kind of should be come the end of the season, give or take. How are you finding it, Dan? The fact that you're so far off fourth now, and you were talking about risks a couple of weeks ago when you wildcarded not paying off, but ironically now it feels as though you're probably going to need to take a couple of differential, maybe captain picks or transfer picks to just start moving up the ranks with such similar teams. How are you finding this at the moment, mate?
It's frustrating because I studies in the top 6 for the first few weeks, but I think there's quite an argument, although ironically I'm not really in this position, there's quite an argument to be a boring FPL manager and make the sensible decisions, i.e. not bringing in Mane when he's not trained during the week. So, yeah, as I've always maintained, I'm not going to, I'm going to have to take more of those risks. I'm really going to have to rely on those chips, and I'm saving them, as I say, obviously for any potential future double game weeks, things like that. Going to have to be really strategic with them. It's a toss-up between kind of keeping up with the league and not falling too far behind. But definitely for me at the moment, I've got a few little ideas in terms of improving my defence, but not taking so many hits as well. I think that's a big thing for me. And yeah, if I can just push myself back up into that top 10, have a few good game weeks, then it can change. You've got to be patient as an FPL manager. You can't be. It's very tempting to be like frustrated and think, right, straight away, Monday evening, Tuesday morning, make the changes. But I'm going to wait for the information on Friday in the press conferences, not, just calm down a bit and, yeah, maybe make a couple of boring decisions and take a couple of risks here and there, really. So,
yeah, I mean, I think that kind of nicely links us into the upcoming game week 10. I think it's time to do our favourite part of the show, which I really, really enjoy. It's, of course, our game week predictions. And as ever, it's myself, Dan, not versus the history, it's the three of us against each other. And last week, I got 6 points. Thanking the Arsenal result, I got that spot on. Dan got 6 points. And the informed history got 5. So me and Dan actually beat the history for once. However, the history's just dominating myself and Dan's predictions and are beating us 5 game weeks to basically 2 each, or 1 each, whatever it is. In other words, the history's doing really, really well this week.
I used to really like history at school.
Yeah. Dan will of course be revealing his dead cert bet, which of course is a game which he's going to be putting. What Dan has been doing is, since game week 1, he's put how much was it? A $5, Dan?
$5, yeah, at the start.
A $5. So in game, can you remember who you put it on game week 1? The £5 dead cert, was it Man City or Liverpool?
Yeah, basically it's either been Liverpool or Man City. I'm pretty sure it was Liverpool. They had West Ham at home.
That's it. Yeah. So,
yeah.
And every time Dan wins, he then puts all that winnings onto the next game of dead certain. At the moment, he's constantly winning. It's not too bad at the moment. Do you know how much your winnings is at the moment so far? How much you're going to be putting on this week?
It's just over £9, so I'm not. I'm not exactly rolling in the dough. Don't be expecting me to buy the drinks at the end of the season, but it's a bit of fun. It's a bit of fun. Can I get 38 right? I don't know. But
I'm almost certain that we can guarantee which game you're going to be putting the dead set on this week, and it ain't going to be on Tottenham Man City. Anyway, but as I've changed it up a bit, like I said, with when doing these predictions, I'm going to put in a bit of an interesting statistic for anybody to read into what they think. But certainly it's worth noting that the history so far this season has been really, really good at predicting the outcomes of the games and should help us choose what captain we want to go for with the upcoming game week. So there's no early kickoff this week. It all starts at 3 o'clock, unfortunately. I don't like that. I prefer an early kickoff. But we're going to start with Southampton versus Newcastle. Two absolutely atrocious teams at the moment. And because of that, I'm personally going to go with a 0-0. The history, however, my goodness, here's the statistic for you. So there's been, in the last 6 fixtures, 21 goals involved between these two teams. All in Southampton's favour. So there's been 3 wins, 2 draws. The 2 draws both being 2-2. And Newcastle have only won once against Southampton, which coincidentally was last season when they beat them 3-0 at St James's Park. However, the history is going to be going with a 3-1 victory to Southampton. Like I said, I'm going 0-0. Dan, what do you think on Southampton-Newcastle?
You know what? I mean, it's just dire for Newcastle at the moment, isn't it? Another defeat. Saturday just gone. But Southampton got a credible draw at Bournemouth. Many sort of better teams have gone to Bournemouth and lost or letting goals galore. So good result for Southampton in a way. I'm going to go for Southampton to nick this, and I'm going to say it will be. Got to start scoring soon, haven't they? I'm going to say 2-1 to Southampton. Maybe Charlie Austin to get a goal.
I think this next game is what I'm going to speak to Jason about, and I think this is where Dan's going to be put his £9 3p or whatever it is, but it's Liverpool versus Cardiff. I'm going with a comprehensive 3-1 victory. There's only been 2 Premier League games between these two clubs, with an aggregate score of 9-4 in favour of Liverpool. So the history will go with a 3-1 victory here. And yeah, Dan, how do you see this game going? Liverpool versus Cardiff.
Well, I know Cardiff are your favourite team. So it was good to see Cardiff get a win on the weekend. I'll tell you what, maybe not for this fixture, but a differential. Josh Murphy, he tore Fulham apart, and he looked really good on that left wing. So that may be a player to consider in the future. But for this game, Liverpool really strong at home. This will be my dead cert bet, and I reckon it will be 3-0 to Liverpool.
So going with the same score as myself. Jason, I'm assuming this is a potential Salah captaincy option for yourself. I mean, you'll be looking over your shoulder at Terry Roos with his Firmino and Salah double up and wondering will he go with the differential in Firmino again? Obviously, I went with the Robertson, Trent and Alexander-Arnold double up. Are you feeling confident ahead of this game for potential Salah captaincy?
For safety, yes, but for my brain is starting to say that if I wasn't top, I would probably captain Wilson this game week.
I've got an interesting statistic for you on him.
But playing defensively, Salah as a captaincy choice is logical. But playing Maverick and looking to possibly pull away, I'm really torn at the moment. But he is the standout choice for the masses, and he probably will be top of the polls all throughout the various fantasy football groups. So yeah, it's almost certainly going to be contending for that the armband this weekend.
Well, you know what? I wasn't going to do this fixture next, but because I've just teased you with it's a bit not a funny statistic, but you just mentioned that you made Captain Wilson, so I'll just skip forward to Fulham versus Bournemouth. Last week, Fulham were in a goals galore game of losing 4-2 against Cardiff. I'm personally going to go with the reverse again. I'm going to go with a 4-2 victory to Bournemouth. I think Fulham are apparently one of the worst teams in the league at the moment, conceding goals and shots on goal and whatever. And funny enough, the last time these met, the game ended 5-1 in favour of Fulham, in favour of Bournemouth. Did Wilson play? Yes, he did. How many goals did he get? Absolutely nothing. So if you're looking at the history there, avoid Wilson like the plague. But the history is actually going to go with the 2-0 victory to Bournemouth. But Dan, confident ahead of this game for your local boys?
Yeah, I'm pretty confident actually. Fulham, they've conceded 9 goals in the last 2 games. And some of their defending against Cardiff was just terrible. And as I say, Bournemouth have got some pretty dangerous players on the counter attack. It's a big game for them actually, because their manager is going to be under some pressure. So, someone can score. I reckon it'll be a pretty high-scoring game. I'm going to go. All right, I'm going to go for 2. I'm going to give Fulham the benefit of the doubt. Shout out. Could be an interesting one today.
Are you a confident Mitrovic owner that he may score? He only got an assist last week.
Yeah, Mitrovic has done well. I'm more. This may come to bite me back in the arse, but I'm more confident with Mitrovic than Wilson. So it's kind of like my striker against Jay's striker. Well, if he sticks with Wilson, but I'm pretty confident with Mitrovic. His underlying stats suggest could get a goal. So yeah, Mitrovic will score. Don't worry about it.
I think that this could be the biggest mistake since captaining Harry Kane the 2 game weeks ago, and that was transferring out Ryan Fraser for Richarlison to try and just have more high ownership players in my team to try and be safe. I think that this game could definitely see a high point score for both teams. I mean, I could just see Ryan Fraser just punishing me now, and Richarlison blanking against United. So yeah, and also took a -4 as well doing that transfer. So could come back to bite me, and I've got the horrible feeling that Wilson will blank, and Ryan Fraser and King will probably do something. No, in my luck. Well, I say no in my luck. I've actually had good luck so far this season. So it's due to end soon.
Give me some of your luck, Jay. I'm not going to be afraid to you, am I? Come on. Have your old mate out here. Oh.
I mean, on to the next game, which is Watford versus Huddersfield. I think Watford, after that confidence-boosting victory against Wolves the other day, which no one saw coming, 2-0 they won. Again, I think I'm going to go with a 2-0 victory here for Watford. Now, surprisingly, this game has contained 24 goals in the last 6 fixtures between these two, which has included. So the last 3 fixtures has involved 2 4-1 victories to Huddersfield, a 3-1 victory to Huddersfield. And yeah, history's going to go with a 4-1 victory. I don't even think they've scored 4 goals this season, so I can't see that happening. Dan, any confidence ahead of this game for Huddersfield getting anything?
Like I said on Sunday, I watched Huddersfield play against Liverpool on Saturday. They played really well. They gave Liverpool a really good game, to be fair. And they had a great chance towards the end to equalise. And they kept Liverpool at bay, more or less, apart from the goal that they scored. But Watford are clinical. They didn't have loads of chances against Wolves, but they just took them. 2 quick goals. They got Pereira running things for them. And yeah, I think momentum's going to carry on. And I'm reckoning it will be a 2-0 win. And I've got Holebas coming back, fingers crossed. So yeah, 2-0 to Watford.
Any thoughts, Jason, on potentially if Pereira was to do something again, or even Decorah adding to his 2 assists last week, maybe a possibility of Richarlison out, Pereira, Decorah in?
Yeah, this game week is going to be interesting for Richarlison because he's against United, and as a fan of United, it's been a bit of a sweet season so far. I just don't know what Man United team's going to walk out onto that field. I could see him doing something, and if he does something, I'm going to keep him purely because I'm a great believer that he's a great asset to have for the price point that he's at. But there's a multitude of options that could easily be traded in his place. I mean, going forward, West Ham's got some great fixtures. Yarmolenko. Is Yarmolenko injured?
No,
Yeah,
he was injured.
Yeah. What's it? Antonio, isn't it?
Antonio and, come on, Daniel, the expert on those players. Who else did they bring in this up front? Whoever it was. No. There was another player that they brought in as on the wing, as one of the wingers, but his name's escaping us.
Yeah,
I'm sure. Oh, is it Anderson?
Felipe Anderson.
Felipe Anderson, yes.
He didn't really play that well.
It was on the tip of our tongues. We just there we go. So yeah, there's some nice fixtures ahead for West Ham. I mean, going away from midfielders, even like defenders, there's some nice options there, like Diop, nice and cheap. I don't know. I think that last season I made too many transfers when a lot of like the managers that I've been watching on other podcasts, especially high ranking ones, they tend to advocate that when you made your transfer, be patient and see how it pays off. And I'm trying to not knee jerk too much. So I've made that transfer now. So I'm going to stick with it for a few game weeks, see how it comes, see how it plays out really.
Cool. So moving on to the next game, it's Brighton versus Wolves, and this statistic kind of came up again for Brighton last week, and it actually came up true. And between these two teams, there has only been 8 goals scored in the last 6 fixtures, and only twice, just like against Newcastle, there's only been twice where both teams have scored. It was in 2-1-1 draws. In the last 4 games, though, there's only been 4 goals. So it's all been in favour of Brighton. So it's going with a 1-0 victory to Brighton. However, me personally, I think I'm going to go with a 0-0. Dan, what do you reckon on your Doherty and Patrizio double up?
Yeah, it's a bit of a headache, that one. 2 really good results for Brighton in the last 2 games. Beating Newcastle, beating West Ham, 2 clean sheets. Really great stuff for Brighton. Wolves, they were due a loss at some point. It's just how they're going to react now after a great run. That's the key thing for them. By all accounts, they didn't play too badly against Watford, but they were just hit by 2 clinical goals. I'm going to actually back Wolves to bounce back, which is not easy to say. I'm going to say it will be a 1-0 victory to Wolves, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Shock result of the weekend, maybe.
So on to the team we were just discussing, West Ham. They're away at Leicester. And West Ham have only won once in 6 versus Leicester, which again, coincidentally, a bit like with the Newcastle result, was the last time they played each other, which was a 2-0 victory, again, away at Leicester. I'm actually going to say that West Ham are going to win this, because Leicester seem to be one of these teams where they go into a bit of a slump, they lose 4 or 5 on the bounce, and then all of a sudden all the talk is about get Claude Puel out, getting gone and everything, and all of a sudden they go and win 4 or 5 games in the spin. I personally think that they're going to lose this. I'm going to go with a 2-1 victory to West Ham. The history's going with the reverse of that, a 2-1 victory to Leicester. Any Maddison fans out there, I'm sure, hoping that he may be able to score this time, unlike against Arsenal, where I did hear he had a pretty decent game. But that aside, what do you reckon on this game, Dan? Leicester versus West Ham. You obviously saw Leicester play Arsenal on Monday night. What do you think of their attacking potential against West Ham?
Well, I mean, I've seen Leicester's last game, seen West Ham's last game. I mean, one to probably watch again is Maguire, particularly from set pieces. Obviously scored against Newcastle, hit the crossbar on Monday's game. Maddison played well. You know, he's obviously on free kicks, on corners as well. So I reckon it'll be a good game to watch, actually, neutral. And West Ham a little bit unlucky against Tottenham, had a couple of and Altovich is an interesting one. He's getting in all the right positions, which is always a key sign for any FPL manager. I reckon it will be I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw in this game.
I mean, Dan just mentioned Arnautovic, Jason. Is he one to monitor ahead of the West Ham assets that you mentioned earlier on?
Yeah, definitely. He's got to be up there in contention with the, the budget. He is a budget forward at the end of the day, and he's looking good when as long as he's fit. There's been a bit of a doubt over his fitness, but he's looking relatively sharp, and he's in a decent team, and they've got some nice fixtures. So yeah, he's definitely one to look out for.
Yeah, certainly for me, this is the kind of game where I'm going to be looking at him thinking if you don't get any attacking returns against Leicester, then I'm going to kind of avoid. However, if he does get something, then maybe he's, for me, one to look at. So on to Sunday's fixtures. 2 1:30 kickoffs, and they both involve both mine and Dan's teams. We'll kick off with my team first, Burnley versus Chelsea. Our record isn't that great against Chelsea, unfortunately. There's only been, though, 1 clean sheet in the last 6. However, I mentioned that against Manchester City, and of course, what happened there, we gone and got battered 5-0. But I can't see anything other than a victory for Chelsea. I think this is the kind of game that Chelsea are going to want, a bit like when they played Southampton, actually, after a tough European game. They'll be wanting a nice little match on whatever fixture they play next, and I think they got the perfect components here. They got a nice history against them, and history's going with a 3-1 comfortable victory. As it stands right now, I haven't got Hazard as captain. However, I am seriously considering putting the armband on Hazard. I think that he's going to cause us some serious problems. I don't see anything other than a 3-0 victory, and I'm pretty confident that Hazard is going to do something special. I think Sare's learned a lot from Morata's display against. Who did Chelsea play last? Where Morata didn't play? It was United, wasn't it? Of course it was. Yeah, Morata didn't do particularly well in that game. And once Giroud came off the bench, he seemed to surprise, improve Chelsea, but it was a bit too late. So I'm going to go with a 3-0 victory against us. Dan, what do you think on Burnley versus Chelsea?
Well, not to put a spanner in the works, so to speak, but there is a bit of an injury concern over Eden Hazard. Doesn't it look like he's going to play in the Europa League game tomorrow? And they're going to he hasn't actually been picked for any Europa League game at all. And I just think it's one of those where we don't want to pretend that we don't want to play him, so we'll just say that he's got a bit of a back issue. Yeah, that's it. I mean, they play a pretty strong team in the Europa League, but yeah, I've got to rest some of the main men. Like you say, I think it's a tricky one for Burnley, obviously coming off a 5-0 defeat to Man City, which is obviously a disgrace. But yeah, Chelsea's form this season, pretty confident. I reckon it will be a standard 2-0 win for the Chelsea.
Do you think, Jason, talking of tests, do you think that this is a test for Alonso to see if he can actually finally produce some attacking returns, considering he hasn't returned anything, I believe, in the last 5 attack-wise? Yeah,
it's a definite talking point, isn't it? 7 million defender that's not getting you any points, or recently been providing even clean sheets. So it is a test. I think that he's still going to be good for attacking against the smaller teams, where he's got a bit more freedom along the wing. So yeah, I'm not looking to transfer him out anytime soon, but he will be on the radar if he doesn't produce any points for the next couple of weeks.
So moving on to Dan's team now. They're away at Crystal Palace. It's Crystal Palace versus Arsenal. So in the last 3 games, it's been goals galore. It's featured 13 goals, 7 goals in favour of Arsenal versus Crystal Palace's 6. I can't see Crystal Palace actually scoring anything. They haven't even scored at home at all this season. And I think Arsenal are just going to continue their dominance. They're going to win again. This will be what they won their 11th in a row, wasn't it, on Monday, Dan? I'm sure you'll correct me in a minute. And I think they're just going to continue this. But the question is, will Lacazette get you the goals that he didn't get you on Monday evening? Will that transfer pay off? I think it will. However, again, talking of tests, Alonso in the last game is going to be in the Burnley game is going to be a test for me whether I should get rid or not. In this game, it's going to be a case of, who should I get rid of for Harry Kane? Will it be Lacazette or will it be Aubameyang? Now, as it stands, I'm not making any transfers, but this game puts the fear of life into me, and I'm kind of tempted at the moment. I'm wanting to save my transfer to have 2 for the following week. I'm very, very tempted, depending on tomorrow evening's game, on either getting Aubameyang or Lacazette in, because those 2 are on absolute fire at the moment. I think Arsenal are going to, again, destroy him. I'm going to go 3-1 victory, mate. Just to clarify, what did you say on the Burnley-Chelsea game? I didn't quite catch that, Dan. What did you say on that?
Yeah, sure. I think it'll be 2-0 to Chelsea.
2-0 Chelsea. And on to an Arsenal game, you reckon, what do you think on this?
Yeah, so, I mean, 7 straight wins in the Premier League for Arsenal, looking really good at the moment. Got a pretty decent record at Palace. Palace can't score for Toffee, excuse the pun. Obviously, they didn't score at Everton on Sunday just gone. But won't be easy, but I'm feeling fairly confident. And I'm going to say 2-0 win to the Arsenal.
Yeah, the history's going with a comfortable 2-1. I'm not saying comfortable, but yeah, 2-1 victory. I mean, Jason, have you got any thoughts on Aubameyang and Lacazette? And maybe even Ozil or Bellerin to cancel out Ben Towler's differential?
I think the time to consider Arsenal has been with us for many weeks. I just think that people have got the money invested in the template players of Hazard, the Salah, the Aguero, the Kanes, the Manes. I mean, trying to fit in Aubameyang, which is like, is he over 11 million or something? Is he 11?
No, it's 10.7, I think.
Oh, right, okay, there you go. So 10.7, okay. Lacazette obviously being a nice, it's 9.6.
I think he's actually 9.7.
Has he gone up? He went up as well, did he? Okay, so yeah, it's one of those. I haven't been monitoring price rises. I don't know if you guys can tell, especially when it comes to Arsenal. I must admit, I do kind of cringe when Arsenal start to play that beautiful football. And Dan, watching that game, I was watching it as well. I mean, you must have thought, "Oh my God, this takes me back." That Ozil pass straight through.
Yeah.
Oh God, it was absolutely gorgeous, wasn't it? So yeah, it's.
Sound like an Arsenal fan, Joe.
It was no. I appreciate good football, and being a United supporter, unfortunately, I've not witnessed good football for many seasons now, and Arsenal are looking, when they click, they click. If they can start doing that on a week in, week out basis with those 2 attackers playing, then they're going to be a force to be reckoned with.
But in the first half, particularly in the first 30 minutes, we got battered by Leicester. Leicester should have had a penalty. Holding should have been sent off. In the second half, the amount of chances that we concede. I mean, obviously Bellerin's getting his attacking return, but you ain't going to be getting any clean sheet bonuses from Arsenal. Well,
no, and it's funny. I go back to what I said last week, which is with Unai Emery's history. Like, it's all well and good being manager of PSG and just completely battering anything in sight, but once he came up against the big boys, a totally different story. And that's why it's going to be really, really interesting after this game week. So game week 11, you're up against Liverpool. And they ain't no mugs. And I can see that being, talking off the top of my head, something 4-5.
Yeah. Well, we are going to get battered at some point. It's funny you say about Unai Emery. I mean, Champions League tonight, and Barcelona are playing. Obviously, PSG beat Barcelona 4-0 in the first leg. And then in the second leg, they lost 6-1. So, you know.
The biggest mistake that I've made was...
Sorry, carry on.
No, I was just going to say that the biggest mistake that I've made this... If I was to in a microschism, sum up my season, it was not bringing in Lacazette on my wild card. Even though I had him on my team the whole time, I bottled it. That's been my biggest mistake so far this season. The amount of points I've lost on him. But sorry, Jason, you were saying.
I mean, one thing I took away from that game and a few other Arsenal games this year is the chemistry that Aubameyang and Lacazette seem to have when they're on the field together. They really do kind of... It's almost like they've been playing together for years, you know. And I just honestly think that if Emery doesn't have it in his head that he needs to start playing these two week in week out, then I just don't understand him. I really don't. They look like such a better team with both of them playing.
Talking of players that have been playing for years but don't even look like they've been playing together for years. It's your boys, Man United, Jason. They're up against Everton, and the last two games against Everton, Man United have won 6. The aggregate score is 6-0, so it was a 4-0 victory and a 2-0 victory, so 2 clean sheets there. However, I honestly think, don't know why, I think Everton are going to win. Now, your home record recently, ironically, I haven't done the statistics on this, but your home record recently has been pretty poor. And I think if Silva just allows his team to play, doesn't set up defensively, I honestly think that United are going to lose. I'm going 2-1 to Everton. And I honestly think that maybe Sigurdsson could be the one that we should be all looking at rather than Richarlison. He's definitely going to be on my radar. The history's going with a 2-1 victory to United. I'll come to you first, Jason, as the Man United fan. How are you feeling ahead of this game?
I'm not confident. United at home. I mean, Lukaku, I don't think scored since March at Old Trafford.
Really? Wow.
I think there's some serious problems with United at the moment, and again, it goes back to what I said. What United team steps out on the field? Like the last few games, it seems like they have to go a goal behind before they start to try to play football. It's really weird. There's no get up and go in them. It's really lethargic performance, playing sideways. It's just completely a toss of the coin. I mean, it could be Pogba's day. It could easily be Sigurdsson's day. Like if you said, if they take the game to United, I think that United are just ripe for the picking. I really do.
So Dan, on to your prediction then. How do you see this game going, mate?
Well, I watched the United game against Juventus last night. Juventus absolutely battered them in the first half. But to be fair, in the second half, United give a good go at it. And even against Chelsea, they were winning 2-1. And in the second half, they were brilliant. So, it's not been great for United this season. But I'm going to side with the history. And I'm going to say it'll be 2-1 to Manchester United. And Lukaku will get both goals against his old team.
Heard it here first.
It happens. It always happens. Players always score against that old team, and they don't. They don't celebrate.
You heard it here first, everybody.
Lukaku double.
So on to the final game of the weekend. It is a massive game. Not really for Man City because the history is confidently predicting a comfortable victory against Tottenham. It's Tottenham versus Man City. The last three, the aggregate score has been 10-1 to City. A lot of us have got a lot of players in this game. Me personally, I've got three. I've got two strikers plus a defender. However, as it stands, I'm not actually playing Trippier at the moment. I'm not playing him simply because I just think Man City are going to batter them. I think Man City are going to win 2-0 here. And right now, yes, I'm debating whether to captain Hazard. But as I keep saying all the time, is I instantly pick my team as the game updates on a Saturday. I pick it. If I leave it, normally it comes through really, really well. The problem is I never leave it, and I always change it.
Who's your captain there?
This is the thing. So as it stands, I've got Aguero as captain. But his form away from home is rubbish. His form against Tottenham is absolutely pants. And despite the fact, in fact, Sterling. In fact, Dan's got Sterling. I mean, you got Sterling.
I was going to get him in, but I couldn't fit him in my team, and he didn't even start against Burnley.
Any Sterling owners out there? The last two games, he scored 3 goals, so he clearly likes to play Tottenham. But I'm personally going to go with a 2-0 victory to City. Dan, what do you think on this huge game? Monday night football.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching it. I mean, Tottenham, Man City on a Monday evening at Wembley. It doesn't, get much better than that in the Premier League. And Man City, they obviously beat your guys 5-0. They won 3-0 against Shakhtar Donetsk. David Silva is playing really well. So I know Jay's got him in his team. Last night, Pep Guardiola was praising him up. De Bruyne's back now. Fit, obviously, he's just getting back into it. But even last Saturday, you think it feels like he's not been away. I mean, Tottenham have been ticking over, getting wins. It was a good win at West Ham, but they've not quite been clicking. And, that's why I kind of took Lucas Moura and Kane out of my team. It just didn't feel that they're really on fire. So I'm afraid, not I'm afraid at all. I'm quite happy to see this. I think Man City will win. And I think it will be 2-1 to Man City. So I think Tottenham will get a goal, but ultimately City will come good. And Aguero, captain option, I'm thinking that could be a good idea.
What do you think, Jason, considering you've got a couple of City assets in there, in David Silva and Aguero? How are you feeling ahead of this game?
Only a couple.
Have you got Mendy, have you? Oh, have you done a transfer?
Smile.
Well, so I'm assuming you've... Well, judging on that, you've either got in Mendy or Laporte. I think we all know who. So you may have 3. You've probably got 3 City assets. So you must be loving the fact that the history is siding on City. Are you confident ahead of this game then?
I'm very confident. I again, it's the same as last season. I think City are this absolute juggernaut that I don't think that any team come February, March, I think they're going to pull away again. They just look an absolute beast of a team at the moment. I think the Champions League midweek they had like the Aguero, they had De Bruyne. I mean, the bench was insane. Like they must be up there as favourites to win the Champions League as well this year.
They're one of them, yeah. Mahrez is looking good as well, isn't he?
Mahrez, yeah, just Bernardo Silva. I mean, they've just got an absolute wealth of talent. Just they're competing for their places, and it just seems to be like how many goals can we score this week, lads? Let's not stop at 3. It's like, and I think that they could do better. Like they could probably score more goals this year than last year.
But isn't it? I mean, you say that, but now admittedly you've got David Silva in there, but don't you find it really frustrating though, as an Aguero owner, that as me and Dan mentioned in the reaction to the podcast, that they may score 4, 5, 6, but Aguero just seems to get one solitary goal. Does that concern you at all?
No, I think he's got the qualities to just produce a hat trick. He can explode at any time. And to be honest, in the last few game weeks, he's had chances where you would have expected him to score. And I just think that, City are one of those teams you just need to have an attacking asset that plays. And if you want almost a guarantee, Aguero is the main man up front. Gabriel Jesus is not looking anywhere near the player he was last season, and he's just I think Pep kind of knows that, and if I get 60 minutes out of an Aguero in a Man City team, no matter who they're facing, it's a no-brainer for me. As long as he's fit, and as long as he's starting games, he's staying in my team.
Well, onto the final part of our predictions here. It's just a bit of fun, this bit here, but it's just a simple question for the three of us. Which player do we wish we owned that we don't? I'll kick us off straight away. I've got two in mind. We've already basically discussed both of them, but Sterling's one of them. And either one of Aubameyang or Lacazette. So, Dan, I'm a bit jealous that you've got Lacazette. Dan, do you have anybody off the top of your head that you wish you had but you don't own?
Salah, really. To be honest with you, I think, obviously I've got Hazard, I've got Aguero, I've got Lacazette. Because of the structure of my team, it's going to be very difficult to fit Salah in. But, we got the goal against Huddersfield, fully fit and all that. Playing tonight against Red Star Belgrade, I'm assuming he's picked tonight in their game, so he'll probably score them again. So I'm quite worried about this game against Cardiff. I'm hoping that Mane transfer will come good. But, it would be Salah. What about you, Joe?
Joshua King.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
I would love to have him in for this fixture. I think Fulham's defence, I think any team can score 4 or 5 goals against them. They're so uncoordinated.
To be honest with you, one of their defenders, I think I can't remember his name, but I actually thought it's like as if he's won a competition to play for Fulham. He was just dreadful. It was just all I was genuinely thinking, is this guy won like a Walker's competition to play for Fulham at the back? He was just
Was it Reed? Is it Reed?
Yeah, I think Reed or Ray, someone. He was just.
Yeah.
I mean, Chambers isn't looking particularly hot as well. To be fair, I don't know how he'll come back to Arsenal, but Fulham need to. I don't know. Needs to do something. I'm sure we'll get lots of.
Jason's kind of hinted at it, but any transfers you're thinking of, Dan, or are you sticking with the team you've got and then rolling on for 2 transfers the following week?
Just thinking about my defence, it's tricky. I wouldn't mind getting in a cheap Liverpool defender. I'm sure you can guess who I mean by that. Just to strengthen that back line a little bit. I'm forward to staying, midfield staying, but possibly getting a defender. I'm thinking. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much happy. I'm not. Sorry, let me rephrase that. I'm not happy with my team, but it's one where I don't feel the need to transfer. Maybe, possibly, it's very unlikely I'm going to do this, depending on what Lacazette or Aubameyang do. But I don't think Lacazette will play tomorrow. So, depending on what they do in Europa League, then they're ones to definitely watch ahead of Crystal Palace. Jason, you kind of hinted at the fact that you've probably done a transfer. I'm assuming that you've done one.
Yeah, I did it because I had no choice really, because I wanted to do the transfer regardless. I didn't have the luxury of waiting for any injury updates or any press conferences on the Friday because of price. I had that one day to do the transfer because he was going up in price that night, and I wouldn't have been able to do it. So I've taken the risk. I've brought that player in, and hopefully he's going to provide me with the points for the weekend to extend my lead in the mini league.
Brilliant. There we are then. Brilliant.
So cryptic, Jason. Really holding your cards close to your chest.
Yeah, I'd be an amazing poker player, me.
I don't know if you would. Well, that brings to an end our Elite FPL podcast. Thanks again, guys. And just to really say that thanks to everyone that's been watching these podcasts. The views have been going up. The last podcast that we did had over 500 views. And so obviously, and Steve-O's got a very personal, very nice message there. But also thanks for the comments. We had some good comments last week on our podcast. So obviously, if you've got any comments, if you've got any questions as well, if you've got any dilemmas with your team or any, please just let us know. Comment below. Check us out on Instagram as well, Elite FPL. And hope you enjoyed watching again. Thanks again, guys. And we look forward to seeing you all again next time.
Good night.